Thank you. We will then do the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing for a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance. Thank you very much. All right. As we started a few meetings ago, we are going to open up with some public comments here. We have a few people that have signed up. We've allocated a total of a half hour here. It doesn't mean we have to use the half hour. So we'd like to make sure that people are concise in what they want to talk about and try not to be repetitive. We have 4 people signed up. The first one is Chris Rice.
Good evening. My name is Chris Rice. I've lived in Rock Island for 30 years, and I want to speak on behalf of the cannabis ordinance. I'm hoping that the city council passes it. I think it would be a great benefit to the economy of Rock Island, and just in the interest of justice, that finally, after all these years, we can have liberty right in our city. And I'd also like to say that that I was at the planning meeting, and that they're sending a recommendation that infused products be moved to where they're not just limited to industrial sites, but they could also be in business sections, because that would allow things such as a small bakery or something to have some cannabis infused products that aren't necessarily on an industrial scale. And I encourage you to also vote in that recommendation. I think that there's a great potential for tourism and such when if the state of Illinois opens up the licensing a bit in the future. So thank you. I encourage you to vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. It looks like maybe 2 people here. We got a duo signed up for the next one. Kyle Peters and Terry Tilka.
How you doing? Good evening, Kyle Peters, Daiquiri Factory. I know most of you. Anyway, here I was just I watched the video from last week's or a couple weeks ago's council meeting about the special amusement tax, and as a business owner of 15 years here and a local promoter for 15, this past summer we programmed almost over 90% of the outdoor events in the downtown Daiquiri Factory. We did events that included Gumbo and You Make My Weekend, which were district staple events that we hosted now, programmed them, event managed them, and financed ourselves, along with some sponsoring, part of help from the city, district, and then the neighboring businesses. We did a lot of stuff independently as well. I know the Nelly Show got brought up quite a bit in that meeting. That was Daiquiri Factory. That was just to give you an idea on the special events and what they cost. I mean, I spent over $200,000 of my own money this year promoting events in the downtown. They're very, very high risk. It's outdoors. That's one thing that was never mentioned in the special event tax. Most of the times, these events the P&Ls are very, very fickle. They're very tough to get to make your money at the door. A lot of times we have to go into our beverage sales to actually make the events work. Speaking for Daiquiri Factory itself, the reason we do these events is it creates a buzz for our business for the whole year. I think it definitely is one of the major contributing factors of our longevity of the 15 years I've been here. It's a huge gamble. I've partnered with Terry on some of them. We've done independently. And to add another expense to the P&L is definitely something I'm not looking forward to do. Because of the high risk of being outdoors. Let's say for Nelly, that was over $100,000 for one day, and it rained. So I've had days where I've lost $30,000, and I've had other days where I've broke even. It's not very fun. And that's our own money. That's us doing that, and we're doing all the work. So I know one of the other things that was brought up was for Moline with the Tax Slayer Center. Just for some information on those, that is a rental house. So Live Nation and AEG are your promoters, which are global promoters. that net millions and millions of dollars in profit every year. That's why that money is going back to the tax layer. Those are not house-owned shows. So the difference between an independent promoter like myself or Terry or Brett or some of the other guys here, it's a big difference between us and what we do and what AG and Live Nation do as the larger scale. That's why that money is going back there, because it's not, the Iowa Wireless didn't put up the money for the show, if that makes sense. You know, they're bringing in $300,000 to $400,000, $500,000 acts. No one in Moline is financing that. That is being financed by a global promotional company. That's why that tax is going back to the tax layer. So anyway, I just wanted to voice my opinion, let you know, as an independent promoter and investing, you know, over $200,000 this year. I want to continue doing it, but this is definitely a tax that's going to help. It's going to definitely demotivate a guy like myself to want to do more activities in downtown Rock Island, and we plan on being here for a long time. So, thank you.
Thank you. Terry?
Hi, I'm Terrence Tilka. I'm the property owner of 1815 Second Avenue in Rock Island. I was recruited to come here by the city staff in the city of Rock Island over 30 years ago to help build the downtown and bring some life to the downtown through promotions, special events, and live music. So as far as I'm concerned, looking at a tax that, one, promotes the arts is, I don't agree with. I promoted and did 16 years of the district before there was an actual district, when it was myself and 4 other people, and we created our own non-for-profit, which was later taken over by a different group. But to tax a non-for-profit and even think of going after all this is just, I'm not in favor of it at all. You're doing nothing but bashing the arts and the people that are trying to support it and do things and bankroll things out of their own personal pockets. Like Kyle said, that company's a multi-billion-dollar corporation that's publicly traded. We're small individuals that have families that live here. So some of the taxes you're looking at are pennies on the dollar, which you're affecting 4 or 5 local businesses in the Quad Cities, especially in Rock Island, which you're not encouraging business, you're destroying businesses. And we've already had food and beverage taxes. We already pay for plaza permit use taxes. Whenever Kyle and I do shows, we pay for off-duty police officers per the city ordinance. Other venues in Rock Island do live entertainment and everything else. They don't pay for city permits. They hold them on their own property. They do them on Wednesday nights or other nights. They don't have city permits to do anything. I don't even think some of you realize what ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC are. That is my #1 cost for doing business in Rock Island. It's more than my licenses from the state and the city combined, and my property taxes. That's how expensive they are. So, I mean, if you want to pursue that and look at it and keep adding on to it, there won't be any left here. So, as far as some of the other issues you brought up, I'm going to let you deal with those and not tie up everybody's time, because I'm sure the Hitchcocks have something to say. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I agree. I don't think we need to tax this.
Pardon me?
I agree. I don't think we need taxes. If you need the alderman's support, come find me.
All right. Next up is Dennis Hitchcock. And Brett, if you want to, but
Since you said you didn't want us to ramble, I
no.
prepared my remarks.
Eh.
I'm not as eloquent as my 2 colleagues here. Mr. Mayor, City Manager, council members, thank you so much for allowing us this opportunity to let you know our concerns about the recommended entertainment tax. I'm Dan Hitchcock, president of Circuit 21. Ours is a really unusual kind of industry. In 1976, when I first went to the First National Bank to apply for a loan, Ted Miller, who was the executive VP at the time, asked me why I wanted to combine the 2 businesses that had the greatest failure rate in the country into one. And I soon learned why. After, over a period of years, many of my friends went bankrupt. We started in 1977, and the majority of theaters that were open then have long since gone under. And they continue to, most recently last month in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We've been pinching pennies for 42 years and often barely getting by. As Roger Ruthart once referred to us in the Rock Island Argus, which didn't make me very happy, the ever-struggling Circuit 21. But it's true. We've been through huge drops and some highs financially. And unlike most of the arts organizations, we're designed to be a not-for-profit business. We can't get the grants that the not-for-profits do. We have to make our money at the door. And we're housed in a very old vaudeville movie theater that's privately owned, which is really rare. That doesn't happen. Our building was constructed in the 1920s. 50-foot ceiling is very expensive to operate. Most of those theaters are owned by not-for-profit organizations or municipalities because they're way too costly for private ownership, as we have learned. Many, of course, have been demolished. By the way, ours is also listed on the National Register. Taxes, we all know, are higher in Rock Island than the other contiguous cities. Yesterday, gas was $2.28 in Davenport, and in Rock Island, the last station I saw was $2.59. 31 cents more because of higher taxes. Sales tax in Davenport and Bettendorf is 7%. East Moline is 7.75. Moline is 8.5. Rock Island is 10% for prepared food and liquor, which is the only part of the sales tax that affects most of us. The minimum wage increase, the $15 minimum wage increase is 45%, which will also hurt us a tremendous amount. I know we can't raise our ticket prices to where they should be, but these increases make surviving even more difficult. The population is increasing in the Iowa Quad Cities and dropping in the Illinois Quad Cities. It's dropped 3.4% since 2011 in Rock Island. You think perhaps part of the reason our residents are moving to other communities is our taxes are so high? Now we may be burdened with yet another tax, somewhere between 3 and 8%, as we've been told, an entertainment tax. I'm afraid if an additional tax is implemented along with the 45% increase in the minimum wage, Circuit 21 may not be able to survive. Should that happen, who would pay our $28,875 in property tax? Or how about the $175,000 in sales tax? Or our 60 to 100 employees, who would employ them? Or make up for the large amount of money that their wages are circulating in Rock Island and in the Quad Cities? Of course, there's also the hundreds of thousands of dollars we spend on food and liquor and all the other goods and services we buy in the Quad Cities. And how many businesses do you think would be clamoring to buy a huge, almost 100-year-old building with air conditioning from 1952 and an old boiler with 50-foot ceilings to heat and cool? We certainly don't want another Rock Island County courthouse situation, do we? Finally, I strongly urge you to drop this unfair tax from your consideration. There surely is a better way to get the estimated $12,000 than to add yet another Rock Island tax. Thank you again so much for your consideration and for allowing us to share our concerns.
Thank you very much.
And
Very
I,
good
you know,
thoughts.
as who works next door to you down in the safety building, you know, the busloads of seniors that you're able to get here during the day, those are people on fixed incomes. If you're raising your prices because of this tax, that's less people that you're bringing to our downtown.
And also, those people, those buses were, I also watched the meeting online since last week, and the buses were mentioned as a positive in getting more tax. But yes, you're absolutely right.
And last time I checked,
Almost, I would say 90% of people on those buses are ladies over 65.
and you know, last time I saw you had cranes up there replacing, doing work on the roof. So you're not sitting in a building that a lot of our nonprofits are deferring maintenance. You're at least investing in it.
Well, and everything
Yeah.
about the building is more expensive because of the age.
Yeah. All right.
We need to continue, move on. Is it, and I'm trying to,
Dino and Tina Hayes.
okay, Dino, okay, I try.
Center for Living
Yep,
Arts.
there you go.
Former citizen, honorary citizen of the year.
She's got that down.
Good evening. I am Tina Hayes of the Dino and Tina Hayes Show over at the Center for Living Arts at 220 19th Street in Rock Island and 2008 4th Avenue in Rock Island. We've been in business since 2006 and have always had our business here in Rock Island. We've loved having our business here because it's always been so welcoming and great to work here. When we heard about the proposed entertainment tax, we were a bit dismayed. We're just a little mom and pop shop. We've grown over the years. We've had our years of struggle for sure, a little bit of prosperity. But when we found ourselves in leaner years, our first thought was not always, how can we get more money from the people who already use our services? Our first thought was, how can we offer new things and bring in new revenue? With the new larger building that we're in, since we're in the former old Rocket Theater now, we've had to do a lot of thinking on these lines as it brings in a lot more expenses for us. It seems to me that the entertainment tax to the existing businesses in the district would be doing just that, asking the people who are here to give more than the property taxes that they're already paying, as well as all of the other taxes. And we bring people in, as all these other places do, from all over the Quad Cities and all over the area, and bring them into the district. We don't know how things are going to pan out for us in the Old Rocket Theater, as we currently haven't produced our first show there. But raising our ticket prices would be a difficult thing for us to do, because it's already maxed to what we could charge our families. And with the more expenses, this tax could be very detrimental to our bottom line. We know it's not an easy issue to solve, but we just wanted our voice to be heard along with the others on the entertainment tax. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Tina, when is
Appreciate
your
it.
first performance?
Our first performance is November 22nd.
Very good. All right, that's all that's signed up. You know, I'm going to make a quick comment because I was not here when the council talked about this at study session and everything else, but I guess I just want it to be known that I strongly oppose this tax also. And I don't get a vote unless there's a tie, so whatever that
I
stands
think
for.
they got majority of
But-
council just shaking their heads with
But
it.
at this point, I just want it known that I do not support it, strongly do not support it. I feel that the revenue that it would create is too small of a number for the problems that it would cause, is one of the main issues. And we do tax things too much. So thank you very much for everybody's concern and coming here and voicing that.
Yeah, but may I say something too?
You can.
Real quick?
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't sign up, if I could speak on the House.
Oh,
You already have it.
sure, bring on, come on down.
That's fine, real quick.
I'm sorry, I didn't sign up.
If you'll need to tell us your name, is there a piece of paper up there to sign or not?
No, there's not.
But
Okay.
when you're done, you'll have to go to and sign the paper in the
Okay, I
back, please,
apologize.
for
That's
me.
fine.
I'm Michael Steen, I own Skellington Manor, 420 18th Street. We're relatively new in the neighborhood compared to these gentlemen next to me. What I was made aware of is this tax that is going to impact all of our businesses in a negative fashion. Just to give you a quick history, with us, we had taken and renovated that entire building down there with the help of Rock Island. We do appreciate that, to try to bring it up to the standards. Unfortunately, in our type of business, 340 days on the average, we are closed. We don't have a day-to-day operation like a lot of these businesses do. So our income is generated in a very small window of opportunity. It's just the nature of the business. We're competing with a lot of, on both sides of the rivers, a lot of the entertainment dollars. And let's face it, those dollars are not the first thing out of a person's pocket. They've got a lot of other things during good times and bad. We've done what we can to keep our costs at a minimum, but in our case, and I can't speak for anyone else, our overhead cost just to walk in the door is 50 grand. So that has to be met before I even can do anything with the building or any expenses of maintenance above even that. So to add any burden that would come by adding a tax to us is not going to be helpful. It's not going to drive businesses to us. Again, we're having to compete with other people. So I'd really encourage you to look long and hard at this, and focus possibly on what's going in the downtown that I have concerns about, and that is a whole lot of empty businesses that aren't bringing people into the community. I don't, not blame on anyone, but I think it's paramount that we start drawing people in. Terry and those guys and all of us are trying to draw in people to bring revenue into the community, but we can't just take any tax and pass that on to the next person. I have ticket taxes or ticket expenses like everyone else does, and it doesn't work for I'm just going to turn around and charge another $1, $2 per ticket. People are at a certain point, you've limited out, and they're not going to say, well, I can go over here or go over to Davenport or wherever and spend my entertainment dollars. So I'd appreciate if you really looked long and hard from a businessman standpoint, how we struggle to put money in the table to just pay our costs, and we don't need more and more revenue going out. I know my taxes went up again, my property taxes. I understand trying to juggle the budget that you are, as a difficult chore for you. But having said that, this is the wrong way to approach it. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Well, since
Thank
you
you.
have the floor and you're only open the 340, the days you're talking about, what's your big event this month?
Our big event is that we have the haunted house going on through November 2nd. So anyone who wants to participate, I will scare the yell out of you.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I do want to say, I want to thank all the businesses that are here and for speaking up. At this study session, I'm not for this tax. And I just want you all to know that I very much appreciate you investing in Rock Island and for everything you do. So thank you.
I would also like to join in with Alderwoman Swanson and the rest of the city council that I guess it would be on the same side. I do appreciate you coming here. Your information that you present is valuable to us, and we do appreciate your commitment to the city of Rock Island, and I'm against this tax as well, just so you know where I stand.
There's your votes.
All right, so just to add some context here for the folks watching at home, at the last city council meeting, at our study session prior to the city council meeting, we asked staff to give us a brief overview of a number of potential new revenue sources for the city of Rock Island. As anybody knows, our municipality is very challenged, as nearly all municipalities in the state of Illinois, but also around the country as well, on balancing our budget every year. Every year we have increased expenses between a number of stressors, long-term debt, public employee pensions, just the list goes on. And we've had a lot of success in cutting expenses and also at the same time creating new revenue where we have to. So for that, to that end, we asked staff to give us a sort of a synopsis on, hey, what would a tax on plastic straws generate for the city of Rock Island? What would a tax on, what would a wheel tax give the city of Rock Island? I mean, according to a study we had performed, we should be investing $20 million in our streets, and we're investing, what, $70,000 this year, right? I mean, pretty significant disinvestment in our public infrastructure that we should be addressing, but we simply don't have the funds to do. So we are going to turn over every rock and say, hey, is there money here, right? And to that end, included on this list of possible revenue sources was an amusement entertainment tax. And so I would like to echo my colleagues up here in saying thank you. Most of you are, I think all of you are located within my ward, and I appreciate everything that you've done. I visit your businesses regularly and have chatted with you many times about the challenges that we both face. And I'm glad that you're here today. We're certainly not considering anything on the agenda tonight about this, but this is how a wise public body makes their decisions, is by engaging the public and saying, hey, you understand that we're stressed. We understand that you're stressed. Where can you give in a little? Where can we give in a little bit? I think it's pretty clear here that I think it's safe to tell the city manager that we'll put this one on the back burner. But the reality is that every single tax that we levy, we are very conscious of the fact that it burdens somebody, whether it be a tax on plastic bags at Hy-Vee or whatever, right? The property taxes that we continuously seem to have to raise. We're very conscious of that, and I can't promise that every single time I consider a new revenue source for the city of Rock Island, and there's 10 friends here telling me not to do it, I'm going to be able to say, well, okay, we won't do it. I can't always promise that because we're doing the budget right now, and it's not fun, right? So just please take that into consideration. We are mindful of these things. I would share the mayor's thought that the potential revenue from this revenue source that the city would be seeing is pretty small compared to the total expenses of our municipality and the burden that it would put on some key players in our downtown versus the payoff is not worth it. So I think it's safe to say that the majority of the council opposes this, continuing to look into this idea. We will be continuing to look into other revenue sources, but I hope you understand. And I conclude with thanking you very much for coming and participating in the civic process.
Thank you. All right. We are going to move on to item number 6.
Minutes of the September 23rd, 2019 meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes as printed.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Item 7, update. Got a couple items here. Here's a real exciting one in this cold weather. The City of Rock Island Public Works Department has begun the fall fire hydrant flushing program. Crews will be flushing fire hydrants on the first and third shifts until complete. The purpose of this program is to help maintain water quality standards and the fire protection system. Citizens may experience a brief period of discolored water or low pressure, which is normal during flushing operations. Due to flushing, there is potential of sediment containing lead to be present in the water supply, but this should clear up and be mitigated by running some water from the cold water tap for a few minutes. For additional information about this program, please visit the city's website at rigov.org/water or contact the Public Works Department at 309-732-2200. Here's a fun concert, Thursday night groove concert. Get your groove on with North of 40 at the Schreiber Park, sponsored by ARC of the Quad Cities on October 17th, 2019. Happy Joe's Pizza and Bent River Brewing Company will be serving at 6 p.m. Then at 6:30 p.m., free dance lessons begin, followed by the concert from 7 to 9. Guests are encouraged to bring lawn chairs. Admission is free, so come out and enjoy the fun. Fall is amongst us here. Free leaf bag collection. The City of Rock Island is providing free leaf collection for its residential refuge customers. Bags are available at several locations throughout the city, but are limited to 20 bags per resident per day. Customers must place the leaves in the approved paper yard waste bags and be placed at the normal refuge collection location and days. It's free. Please visit www.rigov.org for more information. And then we have the annual Unplugged. If everybody remembers, we've done some Unplugged open meetings. We've had the city staff to be able to talk to. This time we're going to change it up. It's Unplugged 3. The third installment of the Rock Island Unplugged will feature Mayor Mike Tomes, and I get to read this. And our city council will be held on October 30th, 2019, from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Riverfront Grill at 4619 34th Street. It will be an informal yet structured event that will give citizens direct access to their elected officials. Its purpose is to initiate and conduct an open dialogue about current city happenings outside the confines of City Hall. There will be an opening statement by myself, followed by introductions to the City Council and an opening question and answer held directly after. All questions, suggestions of the City Council, or general statements from the community are welcome. Hors d'oeuvres, non-alcoholic beverages, and a cash bar will be provided to attendees. Hope to see everybody there. Please come loaded. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends, and come out and ask your questions and enjoy it. Opportunity. I think that everybody's committed to being there that's here. It'll be a limited amount of staff there, but we want to fill the place with citizens. So please come out, and we want to be transparent and let everybody know what's going on. That concludes that. Item number 8.
Proclamation declaring October 13th through October 19th, 2019 is Freedom from Workplace Bullies Week.
Proclamation, whereas bullying is a systematic campaign of interpersonal destruction that jeopardizes employee health, shatters careers, and strains families, and whereas bullying is non-physical, non-lethal workplace violence causing psychological injuries and stress-related diseases, and whereas bullying is costly to businesses, and whereas bullies are too expensive to keep, and whereas the destructive power of workplace bullying comes from secrecy.
I, Mike Tomes, along with the members of the City Council, do by here proclaim the week of October 13th through 19th, 2019, as Freedom from Workplace Bullies, as a week of support, inspiration, peace, and health, and urge all businesses and organizations to work with employees in creating safe, healthy, and dignified workplace. So I don't know, is there anybody here that, I don't know, maybe not, because it's just in a general situation, but very important. Okay, item number 9.
Proclamation declaring October 21st through October 27th, 2019 as Kiwanis Week. Proclamation, whereas the Kiwanis Club of Rock Island was founded in 1919 with 50 charter members, and its membership has grown throughout the years. And whereas, over the past 100 years, this Kiwanis Club has served the community through the support of service leadership programs throughout the schools in Rock Island. And whereas the club has helped with numerous community events and held many fundraisers themselves to raise money to benefit children and children's support groups in our city, as well as providing countless scholarships to outstanding graduating seniors of Rock Island and Alleman high schools. And whereas the Kiwanis Club of Rock Island has encouraged service collaboration for the past century, and their rich history has been the cumulative effort of its diverse members. And whereas not only have thousands of children in Rock Island alone have been served in one way or another over the years, the Kiwanis Club of Rock Island currently makes a local economic impact of over $1.2 million each year.
Now therefore, I, Mike Tomes, Mayor of Rock Island, do hereby proclaim the week of October 21st through the 27th, 2019 as Kiwanis Week in the city of Rock Island. I believe Anditch is, and I don't know who else. Okay, Jeff.
Don't give Steve Anditch the microphone.
What's that?
Don't give Steve the microphone.
Can I get another look? All right.
Jeff, we'd like.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Item number 10.
Proclamation declaring October 24th, 2019 as World Polio Day. Proclamation, whereas Rotary is a global network of 1.2 million neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers who unite and take action to create lasting change in communities across the globe. And whereas the Rotary motto, service above self, inspires members to provide humanitarian service, follow high ethical standards, and promote goodwill and peace in the world. And whereas Rotary in 1985 launched Polio Plus, and in 1988 helped establish the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, which today includes the World Health Organization, U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, UNICEF, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to immunize the children of the world against polio. And whereas polio cases have dropped by 99.9% since 1988, and the world stands on the threshold of eradicating the disease. And whereas to date, Rotary has contributed more than $1.9 billion and countless volunteer hours to protecting more than 2.5 billion children in 122 countries. And whereas Rotary is working to raise an additional $50 million per year, which would be leveraged for maximum impact by an additional $100 million annually from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And whereas these efforts are providing much-needed operational support, medical staff, laboratory equipment, and educational materials for health workers and parents, and whereas, in addition, Rotary has played a major role in decisions by donor governments to contribute more than $8 billion to the effort. And whereas, there are over 80 Rotary members in the Rock Island Rotary Club that sponsor service projects to address such critical issues as poverty, disease, hunger, illiteracy, and the environment in their local communities and abroad.
Now therefore, I, Mike Tomes, Mayor of the City of Rock Island, do hereby proclaim October 24th, 2019 as World Polio Day in Rock Island and encourage all citizens to join me and Rotary International in the fight for a polio-free world.
Angela Campbell, the vice president, or soon-to-be president of Rock Island Rotary. Well, not soon-to-be, next July. Thanks for being here to accept that.
Better smile. Big smile. All right. 2, 3. Right.
Thank you. It's my honor to accept this on behalf of the Rotary Club of Rock Island. I'm happy that people, mostly younger than me, probably don't know a lot about polio in the United States because it's mostly been gone. And I grew up, my best friend's dad had polio as a child, and I grew up watching him with it, put on his leg braces and get his canes out and have to, it was a lot of work to go anywhere with him. And the fact that we're lucky in the United States that we have this vaccine and that it isn't running rampant is a wonderful thing, but it isn't the case everywhere. And there only are a few cases left in the whole world in a couple Mideastern countries, and once they have gone away and no new cases have been reported in 3 years, we'll be able to consider polio completely eradicated from the whole world, and I'm proud to be in an organization that works on that. So if anyone's interested in joining Rotary, I am the membership chair, so you can come see me and be my guest at Rotary, but thank you all so much.
Thank you. Item number 11.
Proclamation declaring Sunday, October 27th, 2019 as Pastor Stacy Fiddler Community Pastor Day.
Whereas during her 20-year tenure at St. John's Lutheran Church in Rock Island, Illinois, Stacy Fiddler has demonstrated her commitment to inclusivity, social justice, and environmental responsibility, as well as her deeply personal investment in her parishioners and the members of our community. And whereas as a proud Augustana Viking grad, Pastor Fiddler has carried on the commitment to justice and community issues instilled in her by her mentor, Richard Swanee Swanson, coordinating a partnership between the church, the city, and the college. Through this union, they are able to create Micah House, a community of students practicing intentional living in which faith questions are explored through conversation and outreach programs. And whereas in her activities of the Northern Illinois Synod of the ELCA, as well as her involvement in the Quad City communities, and her dedication to various boards and committees has widened her ministry. And while at St. John's Church, she has overseen the church's major building expansion project and investment in Rock Island, the WOW after-school program with study, help, and meals, establishing a free little library pantry, and founding the Place to Be, a safe place for our youth to provide a better chance in life. And as whereas recognitions of her various ministries are being named a leader under 40 by the Black Hawk College Foundation Professional and Overall Citizen of the Year here in the city of Rock Island, and the Hearts of Gold recipient by the YWCA, Mayor of Rock Island proclaimed that Sunday the 27th is Pastor Stacy Fiddler, the Community Rock Island Pastor Day in the city of Rock Island, and call upon the citizens of our community to join in recognizing Pastor Fiddler's commitment to not only her church parishioners, but to all the residents of Rock Island and the Quad Cities to follow her in making this city a great community to live in. Did I read your part?
Pastor Stacy here?
She is.
I just see her. She came in.
And members of our congregation might want up for your picture, right, Stacy?
I think, yeah.
They came all the way down here, coming up for the photo. Linnea, everyone, coming up.
St. John's people, I'm not doing this.
Micah, come on. Come on up for a photo. Patsy. It's a big commitment. Bob?
Have at it, man.
Yeah, I'm not a violent person, by the way.
Well, thank you. No worries.
tax you. I think we're doing pretty well. If everybody just stays right where they're at and give me a couple few takes here. All right. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. All right, great. Congratulations.
I made them all come up, Mayor Tomes, because nobody
fine.
does anything alone in this community.
Correct.
This community is the definition of a community. They work well together. We try together to make this place a better city, a better town, a better place for our children, a better place for our neighbors, our neighborhoods. It is the ethos of Rock Island since I began as a student here, and it became home a really long time ago. So thank you for standing up there with me and for everything that everybody else in this room does, because that's what makes Rock Island the best of the Quad Cities.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Couldn't say
Thank
it
you,
better.
Susie.
Thank you, everyone, for coming down, taking your time. All right, continuing the positive, great news, we're going to work on a presentation, item 12.
Presentation of the August 2019 Keep Rock Island Beautiful Award.
We gotta have lunch soon. I think I hosted last week Friday. We're pretty much guaranteed.
I've just got an update on Keep Rock Island Beautiful. He's got the actual award.
All right, very good. All right, Jason, we got a photo op, and then we're going to let us know what it was.
Man, I'm working hard.
Yes, you are.
All right, our recipient for the Keep Rock Island Beautiful Award for the month of August was the U-Haul building in Rock Island. They've just done a wonderful job with that building and the surroundings. So we were pleased to be able to honor them for the month of August. Just a quick update of what Keep Rock Island Beautiful's been up to since July. We did a red, white, and boom cleanup after the fireworks. We had 10 volunteers that cleaned up downtown in the district. August, we had numerous Adopt a Highway groups out there. I think there were 15 groups out there during the month of August cleaning up. September Labor Day Parade, we had 3 volunteers walk in the Labor Day Parade. We handed out over 1,000 litter bags to the residents who came out to see the parade. The month of September, St. John's Lutheran Church did a cleanup in the southeast end of Rock Island. Johannes Bus did an Adopt a Highway cleanup in September. Broadway did a cleanup in September. In September, we had United Day of Caring. Keep Rock Island Beautiful sponsored an event where John Deere came in and provided volunteers to clean the bike path in Rock Island. Arc of the Quad Cities also held an event. We provided all the supplies to 160 volunteers at Arc that cleaned up 9th Street. And then Hauberg did a cleanup the same day. We provided all of the supplies for their cleanup. They had about 200 volunteers at their cleanup. And then the city had to clean up at Sunset Park that same day. We provided all the supplies for that cleanup as well. Overall, during the months of July, August, and September, over 30,000 pounds of trash were removed from the city of Rock Island. So we want to thank you again for all your support, and we'll keep you posted on what our events will be.
Real good. Thank you. Once again, thank you for all you do, and thank you, U-Haul, for turning a blighted building into something worth looking at. So thank you. Item number 13, some more fun stuff.
Presentation of the 2019 Labor Day Parade Awards.
Who's coming up? Mary, you got it, or who's got it? Grace?
That's how I like them.
Yeah, can we scoot this over just a little? Thank you. Boy, that was a long night, but a good night. It was nice to celebrate so many wonderful things in the city of Rock Island. If you don't know, my name's Grace Diaz-Shirk, and I am on the Rock Island Labor Day Parade Committee Advisory Board. Have been doing that for 34 years, but this is the 35th year, and after how good I saw it was that first year, I wanted to be a part of it, and it's a labor of love. But we have a dinosaur back there, a poor guy that's been standing a really long time. So I'm going to talk really fast, and I'm going too fast, just put up a hand and I'll try to slow down. We're always happy to report that the Rock Island Parade had another safe year. We have to say thank yous to our police department, always makes a difference. Our fire department, who is available for handle any emergencies. Public Works, our street and engineering. A special thanks to Linda Moore, city administration, and of course, our weather department, the good Lord, who gave us an absolutely beautiful sunny day. This year's lineup included 14 musical groups, which was wonderful, and they are sponsored by some of our local businesses. So I'm glad to hear that this wise body is not looking at taxing them, because there's some of the good things we have going in our community and the entertainment we have. So we don't want to send them away. The Rock Island and South Rock Island Township offices sponsored the Mighty Metro Steppers. McDonald's sponsored Rock Island High School. Cool Beans sponsored Allman High School. Wheel and Presley Funeral Home sponsored Rockridge High School. Carmen's Jewelry and Calderon's Construction sponsored Moline High School Band. Rock Island Police Benevolent, we thank you for sponsoring Phyllis and the Sharks. Jumer's Casino, Rock Island, and Hy-Vee sponsored Western Illinois University Marching Band. So give all of those a big hand, please. We couldn't have all the wonderful music we have without them. Additional thanks yous, we have to say thank you to the Rock Island soccer team for carrying the banners throughout the parade, Rock Island Clean and Beautiful, and Rock Island Environmental Action Club, as she said, who passed out litter bags, Kate Wilfong McKinley and Tom McKinley for doing some wonderful pictures. Are we going to have pictures today, Mary? You're going to see some of their work tonight in a little bit here. A few years ago, we added some announcers, and they've been nicely received by the community. Bill Sowards back there and Patrick Adamson, I don't know if he's here, and myself, thank you to each of them. They do an amazing job. This comes from the lovely Mary who wrote this, so it's not me thanking myself. Additional thanks to the owners of the various parking lots that are used during the parade. We are most grateful to those who donated convertibles to carry some of our dignitaries, such as our Citizens of the Year for the parade, and an invaluable support that we received from the Davenport Amateur Radio Club. I'm skipping lots and lots, guys. We have 72 very faithful, loyal volunteers that come together every parade day. This and another 8 group of advisory board members who put together this parade. We meet throughout the year to toss around ideas and come up with new ones. Very special thank you, and I'm going to ask him to stand. Art Milton, Linda Milton, Kay Whitley, Bill Sowards, Edna Sowards, Patricia Vincent, Vicki Hess, and Mary Chappell. Please give them all a hand. And again, I have to say this, and I've said it before, Mary is our fearless leader. Her and Art have been the leaders of this parade, and they keep all of us going. And more importantly, the number also includes 64 additional volunteers that help out just on Parade Day, besides those 8. This includes several family members, friends, neighbors, everyone coming together to make this labor of love take place. A very special thank you to our mayor and our city council who make this possible and show support. And you'll see a lot of them are wearing our stickers tonight in support of our parade. Before I close, I also want to pass along, we had 127 entries, 7 city government officials, 29 organizations, 25 businesses, 17 individuals and families, 13 clubs, 8 registered politicians, 7 schools, 7 local churches, and 14 musical groups. That is truly an example of a good old-fashioned Labor Day community parade. So Rock Island, give us a hand. Now, in the 35 years, do you know that there are a few that have been a part of it every single year? Kudos to Allman Catholic High School, Allman High School Band, Association of Retired Firefighters, Rock Island Fire Department, Rock Island Mineland District 41, Rock Island High School Band, Rock Island Police Department, Whitey's Ice Cream, and Valley Construction Company. Thank you. 35 years of support. Speaking of support, of course, we wouldn't even have a parade without you. So we thank each and every one of you and all the citizens in the Rock Island and in the neighboring communities who have participated in our parade. Parade, rain or shine, it's wonderful to see your smiling faces. Community involvement is the key to the parade's success, and we see it each and every year in Rock Island. I know what you're thinking, stop talking, Grace, but I know you also want to see who the winners are for tonight, and we have some great ones. We have Best School Entry, Longfellow Liberal Arts Elementary School, and this is an example of some representatives here from Longfellow. Come on down.
They're on fall break, too.
Yes, on fall break, too. I was afraid no one would come because it was fall break, but we so appreciate this. Following behind their Longfellow School Pride banner, come on in. This year's entry was theme-based and featured a large group of students and parents walking with signs over their heads. Each sign had the words Longfellow School, the School of Champions. The signs were made to look like Wheaties boxes, and we all know that they always showcase champions. The entry was a great display of school spirit, and we thank you. Best church entry goes to United Church of Christ. Are they here? Church of Peace. Church of Peace, United. Come on down.
Knock them out for Jesus.
We're going to get you guys to turn around for a photo op, please.
We're going to turn around. There we go. Ready? All right.
No, you don't need me.
Hey, Randy.
Okay, Church of Peace, members from this creative congregation developed a theme-based float that featured a boxing ring to communicate how the church works to knock out hunger, intolerance, and illiteracy, and offers programs such as the food pantry, tutoring, and Prison Pals ministry, among other programs. Several members of the church were involved, and this was a great entry, as you can see. Thank you. Okay, business entry, another favorite, Blackhawk Bank and Trust. Come on down. Okay, the bank's theme-related entry showcased a company float with an attractive stone wall and posts. On top of the wall was a sign stated, "Champs are all around us." This featured pictures of the police and fire department workers, along with doctors and nurses. What a great idea. Thank you to Blackhawk Bank and Trust. Okay, best float entry is Jordan Catholic School. Do we have representatives from Jordan? There we go. I was hoping to get some young people tonight. Okay, the float was spectacular. Over 55 parents and students created this amazing float that was made with pots of flowers and featured the various programs offered at the school. Also on display was a large symbol of the school's special flame and chalice, both made from special materials. Isn't that beautiful? Best float entry in the parade. Citizens' Choice. Citizens' Choice was, we go around and we ask some citizens to vote. Then we look at what got the most awards or most support. And another great entry, it came from South Rock Island Township. I feel a little guilty saying that. I'm South Rock Island Township Supervisor. But it was created by the South Rock Island Township staff. This year's entry featured a very snazzy 1928 race car that was built and created by Jerry Shirk, and a decorated cart promoting the various services and programs available through the township office. We'd like to say all of our staff and our residents that we serve are our champions.
All right, you're going to
Thank
get
you.
a picture.
I tried to convince Sherry to come, but it wasn't going to happen. Thank you. Advisory Board, best theme. The Black family of Rock Island. This entry took your breath away because based on this year's theme, the members created, the family again, transformed their golf cart, which they do each and every year, into a very special float. So we're going to ask the Black family to come on down. Yeah, we're going to bring that up. Yep, they're coming.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
I try to do mine this year.
Oh, even a little puppy.
Try to get that silence out of mine.
I used your cart one year.
Low maintenance, man.
I tell you what, next year.
Again, this entry took your breath away. The body of the cart was decorated like a birthday cake with balloons and fun favors. Even the wheels had special decoration. The top of the cart had an awning that featured all of the themes over the past 35 years. On the top of the cart was I should wait 1 second, please. On the top of the cart was 3-tiered cake with the number 35 on top. It said, "Happy birthday, Labor Day Parade, Parade of Champions." We congratulate the Black family who worked very hard on this, and their dad encouraged them always to work together in unity. And he passed away the day before the parade. So we ask that he rest in peace, and we thank them for still being a part of our parade. I had students, former students. Council's choice. Okay, my dinosaur gets to come forward, and our cowboy, McManus Orthodontics. You were the choice of the Rock Island City Council. Come on down. This will be a good picture for you, Jace.
Yeah.
He walked the parade in that dinosaur outfit.
Luckily, he's,
I was just sitting there blown up.
God bless you. I was trying to hurry for you.
Oh, my goodness.
This entry was all about fun. It featured a pink unicorn, a pink tutu-wearing rhinoceros, a gorilla, batting it out in a boxing ring. Their boxing gloves had future champions on them, and all of the animals had braces, of course. There were several staff members, friends, and 2 T-Rexes that walked along the sidelines. Again, a wonderful entry for a great parade.
Come on, Mayor, give that dinosaur a hug.
Oh, we're gonna do it, okay. All right.
Give that
There we go.
dinosaur a hug.
I think that's what the young
Oh, and he's wearing our sticker, too. Good job.
We appreciate everything you guys do too.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have the Mayor's Cup winner, of course, chosen by our prestigious mayor, Mike Tomes. This year, we have Terror at Skellington Manor. If you're a fan of Halloween, this entry was for you. Creators of Terror in the Woods attraction at Skellington Manor entered a truck and trailer carrying all sorts of creepy riders and walkers. The trailer featured a creepy graveyard, lots of creepy characters all hanging around. The entry also had an attached banner that said, "We will love you to death." Thank you to Skellington Manor. Okay, just one last round of applause for everybody, for our council, for our mayor, for our parade workers. Thank you. This concludes another year, another parade. We'll be working on 36 probably real soon here. And lastly, I would just like to throw in a little ad for Drug Take Back Day. It's a wonderful opportunity to get all of the drugs out of your closets. And that'll be October 26th from 10 to 2 at the Rock Island Justice Center. Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you, Grace.
You know, I think it was 2 years ago that we were named as like one of the best Midwest parades,
Yeah.
top 10. And a lot of that comes from like your passion and your excitement that you bring to the parade and to the committee. It's one of the favorite things I do every year as council, so thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. But no, again, it's a committee. It's a committee and a lot of wonderful volunteers. It's a labor of love. Thank you.
It is. Thank you. Well, now we have to get down to some business of spending some money. Not so much fun. Unless we hold back Dave's. Oh.
Spending money.
You know what you're talking about, man. I'm cool with that.
All right, item number 14.
A special ordinance establishing a school bus parking zone of 65 feet in length on 42nd Street adjacent to Longfellow Elementary School between 7th and 8th Avenues when school is in session.
Motion to consider suspend the rules and pass the ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 15.
Claims, they're in three parts, A and B. A, report from the Human Resources Department regarding payment in the amount of $15,947.58 to David Morrison of Rock Island, Illinois, for legal services rendered from August 29, 2019 through September 29, 2019. And B, report from the Information Technology Department regarding payment in the amount of $39,615.84 to Promevo LLC of Burlington, Kentucky for the Google G Suite System Annual Renewal and Support Maintenance.
Move to accept the reports and authorize payment as recommended for claims items A and B.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried. Next group, C, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment in the amount of $10,292.33 to Crawford Company of Rock Island, Illinois for a sewer lateral repair at 1845 44th Street. D, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment in the amount of $14,421.06 to Crawford Company of Rock Island, Illinois for a sewer lateral repair at 2336 38th Street. E, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment in the amount of $28,576.16 to Crawford Company of Rock Island, Illinois for a sewer lateral repair at 2840 30th Avenue. And F, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment number 24 in the amount of $617,029.50 to Civil Constructors Incorporated of East Moline, Illinois, for the water filtration facility project for services provided from August 15, 2019 through September 19, 2019.
Move to accept the reports and authorize payment as recommended for claims items C through F.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
I need to recuse myself from this vote due to the nature of my employment, but I did have a question.
Okay.
I thought we just approved a sewer lateral contract with a different contractor. Is this from the years past? Or is this an emergency repair? Got it. Thank you.
Would you turn the mic around while you're standing there? Thank you, sir.
All right, no further discussion. Roll call, please.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
Brigadis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
5 ayes, no nays, motion carried. And G, report from the Public Works Department regarding a change order to the wastewater treatment plant aeration diffuser replacement cleaning project and payment in the amount of $60,332 to Environmental Dynamics International of Columbia, Missouri for the change order.
Move to approve the change order and authorize payment as recommended.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker. Pulis. Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 16.
Claims for the weeks of September 13, 2019 through September 19, 2019, in the amount of $339,621.12. September 20th, 2019 through September 26, 2019, in the amount of $691,734.06. September 27th, 2019 through October 3rd, 2019, in the amount of $301,454.92. And October 4th, 2019 through October 10th, 2019, in the amount of $1,161,890.50. And payroll for the weeks of September 9th, 2019 through September 22nd, 2019, in the amount of $1,514,581.83. And September 23rd, 2019 through October 6, 2019, in the amount of $1,476,332.71.
Move to allow the claims in the payroll.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
A lot of money.
Yes. Yes.
Good work.
Talk about spending money. Roll call, please.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 17.
Report from the Police Department regarding bids for the uniform and equipment contract. Recommending the bids be awarded to Uniform Den Incorporated for those items designated in Group A, to Ray O'Haron Company for those items designated in Group B and Group C, and to Lawmen's and Shooters Supply Incorporated for those items designated in Group D.
Move to award the bids as recommended for 2-year contracts beginning January 1st, 2020, and authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents.
Second.
Moved in second, twice. Any discussion?
Thirded.
Third. Roll call.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
Brigadis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 18.
Report from the Police Department regarding bids for the dry cleaning contract, recommending the bid be awarded to Burke Cleaners in the amount of $8,519 for a 1-year contract beginning January 1st, 2020.
Move to award the bid as recommended and authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You need roll call?
Yeah.
Okay. We will start that over again. We need to do roll call.
Alderman Hurt,
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Parker,
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 19.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding a request for qualifications recommending the selection of Veenstra and Kim Incorporated of Rock Island, Illinois for a slope stability study at 19 Partridge Circle.
Motion to approve the selection of the consultant as recommended and authorize city staff to negotiate a contract with the consultant.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Just for clarification, this is just to make sure that our infrastructure is not going to be compromised. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
I have a quick question. Not being that familiar with the area there, why is the city responsible for doing this study or seeing that the study gets done?
Well, our main concern is the city infrastructure. There's a crack in the existing ground that's on private property. We don't know if that continued deterioration of the earth is going to continue to move south towards the street. We have a city sewer probably 25 feet away from where the existing ground has already moved, and it's about 10 to 15 feet in the ground. And so that could be detrimental to the sewer. So we feel like that study should be done to investigate and see where the movement is going, if it's stopped, if it's going to continue. So that's the reason for it.
Are we the only ones who are shouldering the burden of the study?
Of the cost?
Of the cost, yes.
Yes.
Is it correct then that the developer is no longer available to be, he can't be held?
I have not spoke with the developer personally.
Then what will happen when the study's concluded?
We'll come back with a recommendation from the engineering company and then make a determination if we want to move forward with the study. We'll negotiate a contract once they come back with their recommendation, and then bring that cost back to you and determine if we want to move forward with the study.
Okay.
So this is just approval to enter into agreement with Veenstra and Kim and have them negotiate a contract with us.
Thank you.
I saw hands up in the, yeah. Come on up, no, come on up, if we're discussing it, it makes sense.
Plan to speak, so. My name is Rhonda Deal, and I live on Partridge Circle. And we built our house in 2005, and the erosion along the entire North Shore has been occurring since we lived there. We had contact the city of Rock Island about concerns because that erosion separated the land, and we were afraid for our kids to be playing on those vacant lots. So it is not just that particular lot that is compromised. Again, it's that whole North Shore. It has sloughed away year after year after year. It can continue to be ignored, but it's encroaching upon the street, it's encroaching upon other homes out there, and we are just asking for the city to come in and do what you can to stabilize that hillside.
So you want more than what's being proposed?
Oh, yes. I mean, that whole North Shore is just eroded away. I have pictures from way back when, and the depth of those cracks, and taking out full trees. And so.
I think the question here is more of what, not that it shouldn't be researched and everything else. and
Right.
taken care of. Is it the city's responsibility? Is it the developer's responsibility? Depending what the resolution is. We don't know
Right.
yet, obviously.
Okay, but then where does that fall at? The
I
big
understand.
question, right, is like who's filed bankruptcy? Who's left to help us
No,
at
I'm
this
not saying
point?
who isn't or who is at
Right.
this stage by any means. But
Right.
that, I think there's a little bit of the question of the council here is that does the developer have any responsibility or not, depending on what the results are, we find the results.
But I think we can find some type of a conclusion.
Yeah.
We can help make it work for everyone's happy.
Sounds good, thank you.
All right, roll call, please.
Alderman Hurt,
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Parker,
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan,
Yes.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 20.
Report from the Police Department regarding the renewal of the towing contract with Quad City Towing Incorporated for 1 year, expiring on December 31st, 2020, at the prices quoted in the existing contract.
Motion
to
to
approve
approve the
the
contract
contract.
renewal as recommended.
Second.
Stereo here.
I stopped.
Is
here.
there any discussion?
I heard an echo in there, so I thought I'd.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Keenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 21.
Report from the Police Department regarding the renewal of the general usage rental vehicles contract with Highland Toyota for 1 year, expiring on December 31st, 2020, with a 3% increase in rates as requested by the vendor and approved by the Finance Department.
Move to approve the contract renewal as recommended.
Second.
Moved to second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Which,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, which vehicles is the PD renting?
Those are special use vehicles for their plainclothes.
Those the Highland Toyota ones?
Yeah.
Toyota 4Runners?
I said I paid the chief a lot of money for him to answer that question.
Those would be our undercover vehicles.
Okay. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Thanks, Chief.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Keenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 22.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding the local agency agreement with the Illinois Department of Transportation for the 15th Street US 67 from 2nd Avenue to 5th Avenue resurfacing project and required resolutions.
Move to approve the agreement as recommended, adopt the resolutions, and authorize the mayor to execute the documents.
Second.
Moved to second. Any discussion?
So this is gonna be done in spring 2020? Eh?
Let's hope, but
No.
Yes, it should be on a letting for spring of 2020.
We think we're gonna be able to do it during next year's construction season?
I don't think we have a choice. It's in bad shape. We've talked about the idea of doing it at night. But yeah, after this winter, I don't think you'll have that question.
No, yeah, I'm saying the sooner the better, right?
the better, but it's going to be, with the traffic counts up there, that's not going to be a problem, but
Yeah.
it needs to be done, but it's good.
Yep.
All right, roll call, please.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Keenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 23.
Report from the Finance Department regarding an adjustment to the calendar year 2019 budget, recommending increasing the Community Development Block Grant Fund 242 budget for program year 2019 by $655,946.
Move to approve,
Go ahead.
move to approve the budget adjustment as recommended.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Stephanie, what are we doing and why? Or is this more, okay, there we go. I don't know if it was CED or finance.
So, every year that we do the budget, it's an estimated budget. I try to get it as close as I can, but, you know, you don't know if it's gonna go up or down. I budgeted for $985,000. And we got $51,868. It's up here. And so we have to adjust the budget to filter in the extra dollars. But then, we also had additional dollars from previous years that are going towards projects. And I'm actually closing a loop here, because some of these projects have already come to council for approval, the sidewalks around Douglas Park and the safety camera project. So those have already gotten started, and I'm closing the financial loop there. And then these other projects, the Douglas Park Field Improvement, we're going to be putting
using HUD dollars to put the fence back up around the park in certain areas. And we're also going to put the roof on the firehouse. We have hired Dismer to do a plan in order to so the contractor, when they bid, there will be specs to remove the copper gutters, and then, they'll have to be stored, and then to reattach them.
Oh, good.
And they'll also, we're looking at this from a historic preservation standpoint. The building originally had clay tile roof. Well, we're not going to put clay tile roof, but we're going to put something on there that's historically accurate. The fascia, the soffit, that's all corbelled, so all of that has to go back on the way it came off. The building has been determined eligible for listing on the National Register. So we're starting with $50,000 and hoping that's going to cover it. And then we are putting electric from the pole at Halberg to the carriage house so that the Friends of Halberg and the not-for-profit groups can do garden things, use it as a classroom for kids in Halberg Carriage House. But that's as far as the HUD money goes there. The rest of it, John is taking care of so they can update that electric. So all of these funds that are on the second part are coming from previous year funds that have to be spent.
I like.
Colin, I
like
think
that.
you're gonna, win some awards for that work you're doing with that historic preservation of the firehouse with CBGG funding and HUD housing funding. I
Well,
think that's gonna be done right and well.
I
with the Friends of
thank you,
Douglas Park.
because I want us to have a preservation win.
Yep.
So
I think you'll
that's
get
the
one for the
goal.
wall.
Very good. Thank you.
About that.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
Spargettis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Ulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 24.
Report from the Fire Department recommending amendments to Chapter 6, Article 4 of the Code of Ordinances regarding ambulance fees effective January 1st, 2020.
Move to approve the proposed amendments as recommended and refer to the city attorney for an ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
Spargettis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 25.
Report from the Fire Department recommending amendments to Chapter 15, Article 1, Section 15-7 of the Code of Ordinances regarding the Foreign Fire Insurance Tax Revenue Administrative Board.
Move to approve the proposed amendments as recommended and refer to the city attorney for an ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
I have a quick question. Is the fire chief here?
Yep.
Seemed like some of the language went from very specific to language that was a little bit broader, more simplified in some ways.
Yeah.
What prompted the change?
Well, the reason that we wanted to make these changes to make sure it was consistent with what the state law is, there was an amendment to the state law back in 2010, I believe, but also to be consistent with the bylaws and constitution that's adopted by this board, and that's why that's in there. So it's the bylaws that the board adopted cover a lot of those in more detail. So if those ever changes, it would just be, fluid with those changes in the bylaws that the board adopts.
Thank you.
So, sure.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 26.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding proposed regulations for short-term rentals in Rock Island.
Move to approve the proposed regulations as recommended and refer to the city attorney for an ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Questions?
Yes.
Lots of questions.
I only have one.
Go ahead.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, I know, right? Miles, is there a difference in the zoning in the final ordinance here? I know we were considering having it be, whether it was in residential zoning 1, residential zoning 2, or whatever. You remember that? As to whether it could be a automatic right of somebody to have a short-term rental, or if they would have to get a special use permit?
I am blanking on
No,
this.
it's included in all residential.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So he treated all residential zones the same instead of the differentiation between 1 and 2 and 3 and above.
Thank you. That was my only question. Never mind, should call up Randy.
James?
I have a series of questions.
Oh, ooh, so you're playing the role of Mr. Parker now. All right, bring it on.
I don't know where to begin, but I'll just jump in. The Planning Commission approved this plan, and I didn't have any idea whether, from your report, whether they were unanimous or whether they had a divided vote. Can you recall?
Yes, there was one nay vote, and that one nay vote was justified because that particular member of the commission does not believe we should have any regulations for short-term rentals. They use them, they like them, they think that they do not need to be regulated.
We should even go further.
I'm sorry?
That it should be further than what this one is.
No, they're saying that we shouldn't bother regulating
Class.
them at all.
Eliminate this altogether.
No
Let it happen.
ordinance.
Right.
They should be legal, but they don't think we should regulate them. That was their point. Otherwise, it was unanimous.
Okay. I wasn't able to attend that meeting, so I just thought I'd ask. Going on to applicability, talking about rented or leased for fewer than 30 days, does that mean per rental, per occupant, 30 days for one person or party, and then, or is that 30 days in a year for total, for all the,
It's per stay.
per stay?
Per stay,
Okay.
per agreement, as you might say.
And then, is there any limit about the number of stays or the number of total days, or is it, can they rent it
We
out?
chose not to include that language because of our incredibly low volume of short-term rentals, and from the feedback we received from some of the people who operate them, they have so few stays in a given year, it didn't seem appropriate to try and come up with numbers that would be in that vein.
Okay. Zoning requirements. Now, it says that short-term rentals shall be permitted uses in residential and business zoning districts, and they shall be special use in all other zoning districts. Why, what was the reasoning for having them be different? Like, why permitted in one and special use in the others?
So those two zoning districts where they are identified, business and residential, is where we are most likely to find them and where we are least likely to have use conflicts. Theoretically, there might be other zones, I don't know, an office zone or even an industrial zone where someone may, under the right circumstances, be able to operate a short-term rental in a acceptable manner. However, given that that is very unlikely, we would want it to go through the special hearing process so that they could demonstrate that they have, an appropriate space, can meet our requirements and all the rest of it. So it's really just kind of to ensure that in those more unusual circumstances, there's appropriate levels of review.
Okay, bear with me, I'm almost done. With regard to having the subject properties be inspected for basic health and safety requirements, could you give a couple of examples of the type of requirements that would be?
Smoke detectors.
Okay.
Means of egress, how are you going to get out? It's very basic stuff like that. So nothing particularly more excessive than what we might require for very similar types of uses.
And then, is there any limitation at all in terms of how many can exist, like say in a given area?
No.
So you could have 5 houses on, just as an example, 5 houses?
5 houses in the whole city, yes, that's about where we are. There are so few. I mean, that's the thing that I want to emphasize over and over again. We have very, very few of these, and they're spread out. Every time, I regularly will check the various apps that have these various short-term rental platforms, just to see roughly where they might be, what neighborhoods or wards they might be located in. There's not even one in each ward. So the chances that we would have an issue stemming from a great many short-term rentals all in close proximity to each other or all in one place is incredibly low.
Well, I don't know exactly what neighborhood would attract more than one.
Again, the
Could be a
total number
historic
is.
neighborhood, for example, and I'm just wondering if 5 people on one block decide they all want to do this, is that it's apparently gonna be permitted because there's nothing against it.
Yeah, it would be permitted, and if they're all functioning in accordance with that ordinance, I don't think there'll be any problems.
Then how do you plan, and this is probably my last question, how do you plan to handle complaints in terms of inspections, re-inspections, violations, fines? Is there any thought given to any of that?
Well, I would say kind of 2 things. The first is that a lot of these services, most people are familiar with, like Airbnb, you leave ratings and you have kind of in-system complaints built as part of the service. So most often what happens is if people are operating really bad short-term rentals, they get kicked out of the service. So they sort of self-police in that way. And a lot of the times the problems that you might have are solved before the city has anything really to say about it, okay? Second thing, the operational permit could be revoked if someone was causing problems and was not in compliance with the ordinance. So that would be the teeth. You would be no longer able to legally operate your short-term rental within the city.
And then if they wanted to, for example, correct a problem and reapply, would they be able to do that, or are they revoked?
Again, we try to be friendly and helpful with everyone. So if someone is making a good faith effort to be in compliance with the ordinance, we're happy to work with them to get to a place where we give them a yes.
I guess I had one more, I'm sorry. Was there any discussion at all in terms of proximity to, for example, elementary schools, daycare centers, populations that were
vulnerable in some way?
Vulnerable, thank you.
We did not consider that because we thought that there was not a credible level of risk to be assessed in regards to the proximity of short-term rentals to any given use. It would be hard to ascertain a relationship between the proximity of a short-term rental and perceived risk to vulnerable populations.
I assume that they're going to have people register and give identifying information like you would checking into a hotel or a motel. Is that correct or not?
The ordinance doesn't explicitly require that, though one of the things that would not be spelled out in detail in that ordinance is the kind of operational side of the permitting process. One of the things that we discussed was the way in which we would actually put together the application and the inspection materials, potentially including information of that kind. There was other data that we were hoping to collect as well, just in terms of how many people really are staying in these, how often are they having people over, so that in the future, should things change or we need to take some sort of additional steps in regards to short-term rentals, we will have collected some data that can help inform those decisions. So that could be part of the process.
I guess that my overall feeling is, although I'm not totally opposed to the concept of this, it's a little too loose and not regulated enough, in my opinion. Other people may think differently, but I would like to see more regulation rather than less.
I think
and I'm saying that basically for community safety reasons.
I respect that. I think I would put forward, once again, there's just very, very few of these. And so when we try to regulate something that's, very few in number and not causing any really identifiable or specific problems, we end up creating an administrative burden for ourselves that kind of, frankly, wastes some of our time that we'd like to devote to solving other problems. And it also causes a bit of a burden for those who might want to operate this kind of thing here in Rock Island. And it has some additional ripple effects, where people may not, who, for example, like myself or someone like me who prefers to travel using short-term rentals versus hotels, if I see that there are very few in the town or they seem to be very difficult to use, I may not choose to stay here in Rock Island. So we tried to weigh out these things. We just couldn't really identify perceivable risks or concerns that would justify more complex regulation.
Thank you.
You're going to be reaching out to all the current renters and explaining the process of how to become a above-the-board renter?
So this information will, of course, be made public, and once we develop a full application process, the kind of the operational sides of all of this, we will put that out there. As has been previously discussed, it can be very difficult to actually locate where these are operating. The apps that most people use to operate their short-term rentals, so like Airbnb, does not give you a specific address until you've actually reserved the space. So the best we can do really is just put the information out there and publicize it as much as possible, but it would really not be possible for us to identify every single current operator.
Are we going?
Just trust on the good faith effort, right?
I mean, that's the best we can do. There's just there's a limitation in that, in our ability to contact everybody.
Are you going to be reaching out to the woman who had her special use permit denied?
Oh, she already knows.
He knows.
And
I'm sure she's been watching this very closely.
we have called
Good.
Jones here, or Bob and Cindy.
If I could just have a second, I know I'm not signed up.
Okay, Bob.
Mr. Miles, Bob Brown, and I have an Airbnb. Mr. Miles? Mr. Miles, is your Miles your first name?
Yes.
Well, Miles, thank you very much for moving this forward with an ordinance recommendation. Because even though you might think I wouldn't want an ordinance or want any regulation, it's not true at all. For a successful business, we would just as soon be competing with people that have some guidelines. One of the things that's really nice about Airbnb, just like Uber, is that no one makes contact with you without leaving a paper trail. And that brings a lot to the process as far as opening your home. And I really like the fact that you added that a person either needs to live there or live in proximity, so we don't have some of the problems that other areas of the country have had with this. But you're right, and everyone is judged after they stay, and that's pretty important. And so, thank you for your interest also, James Burgettis, because I think that's how we have this done well for our community. But wow, people like the city of Rock Island. I will tell you that the city of Rock Island and what events happen, it makes for a good foundation for a business model for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Have fun.
Bob.
All right, ready for roll call.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
Brigadis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 27.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding proposed regulations for cannabis businesses in Rock Island.
Move to approve the proposed regulations as recommended and refer to the city attorney for an ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second. No discussion. No. Is there any discussion?
No, I mean, we've been very clear about this from the beginning.
Now, there's discussion. For clarity, so I understand that the Planning Commission passed this with a recommendation that you are not, or they passed it, I don't know what the right nomenclature is here, but they passed something that you are not recommending.
Correct. So I've put it forward in their own words for the council to decide. So the proposal or the recommendation that the commission put forward was for infuser businesses, which is one of the defined cannabis businesses that you see there in the ordinance, for those to be pulled out and also permitted, in addition to what's already there in the ordinance, in the B3 zoning district, okay? But only B3, not B4, where it would normally also be allowed if that was how you put it. So the zoning code is hierarchical in that way.
What was their reason for including B3 but not B4?
It was part of a discussion that was had between the commission and some members of the public who are in attendance. That I believe some of those members are here this evening as well. And it came from a desire to try and allow smaller cannabis businesses in the future to operate in a larger geographic area.
Yeah, but if we allowed it in both B3 and B4, then that would even prevent.
Part of the reason that staff does not support that particular recommendation is that it would be inconsistent with the way that the code is structured in that particular way. The way it's not hierarchical.
The cannabis part, or you talking about the zoning code?
That specific recommendation about B3, but only B3, not B4.
So you are recommending that we include both B3 and B4?
No, we're standing by the original recommendation, which is neither.
Why can't we include B3 and B4?
So the zoning recommendation, so the zoning that is in the proposed ordinance is based off of the recommendations from the Illinois Municipal League. And we believe are a good reflection of the kinds of businesses that we are expecting to see, their scale of operations, and where they're likely to locate those operations. I would also put forward that there are things to consider about what people might want in their neighborhoods and what they might not want. So you'll notice that some of the types of businesses we have put out in agricultural or industrial zones, so quite separated from residential areas. We know that while there may be many folks who would be excited to see cannabis businesses in larger parts of town, there are many other residents who may not want to see that. So that's really kind of the thinking behind it. Now, I would also put forward that over the coming years, there are likely to be quite a lot of changes to the way that we regulate cannabis here in the state. I am quite certain that the legislature in Springfield over the next so many years will continue to tweak this.
I can only speculate.
I know. So, I mean, to us, the important thing is to start somewhere and be cautious. In the years to come, if we feel that it is appropriate to make it looser, to permit cannabis businesses of various types in more extensive areas of town, we can certainly do that. But I think staff's recommendation could really be summed up as slow and steady on this particular subject.
So you are recommending B1 and B2, more concentrated business districts, or you for infusers?
It depends which type of business that you're talking
Talking
about.
about infusers.
So we talk about that really only in, I think, industrial districts.
Only in industrial?
Right.
No business at all?
No.
And nothing in this prevents somebody from getting a special use permit to operate an infuser in any...
Correct. So, I mean, if someone wished to do something that was different, they would go through the normal processes for navigating, the zoning code. So they could do a special use permit, they could request a change in zoning. And those processes are in place to try and protect the interests of multiple parties, right? So there might be a site where someone wants to pursue a special use permit to do an infusing business. That individual will have to go through the same public hearing other people will go through to get a special use permit. And their neighbors will have an opportunity to say whether or not they are in favor of that. So we feel that there are fair ways to navigate that, and that would be the appropriate path to take if someone was interested.
Do we allow breweries in those equivalent B zones? Like where microbreweries where they brew alcohol?
It depends a little, right? So like a lot of microbreweries are also restaurants, right? So there's more nuances there. And the state act for cannabis does not allow us to add a lot of nuance in the same way we might with those.
I guess in conclusion, I understand, you're thinking of your mom and pop cupcake shop that wants to expand and sell cupcakes that have been infused with THC. And frankly, I don't think that would be too objectionable, a smaller operation where they just have a couple of specialty THC-infused items. Otherwise, it's just a bakery, right? However, if we give all infusers the zoning privilege to do any type of infusing operation in the business districts, then you could get a larger industrial infusing operation on 18th Avenue or something like that.
And that's our thinking too. The other thing is when the first cannabis players enter into this field, they're going to be corporate cannabis interests, for lack of a better way of putting it, from out of state for the most part. You're not going to see a lot of small businesses be able to even get the licenses to do this kind of work within maybe the next year or two. It's a very expensive process to apply. To navigate it takes a lot of wherewithal. Again, 5, 10 years from now, the whole landscape of this could have changed quite a bit, but we can change the ordinance at that time to meet that reality. Right now, I think the kind of way you've put it really sums up our feelings on it.
Yeah, I think the special use permit is a perfectly acceptable way. If by some miracle, somebody in the next year gets a license from the state to have a small bakery to infuse cupcakes, then we can probably grant them a special use permit.
It'll come to you to look at. The whole goal of zoning is to try to balance out the competing wants and needs of different community members. And there's a good reason for us to restrict, what uses are by what.
Yeah. And then, sorry to take up time here, but additionally, over the past 24 hours or so, 48 hours, there's been lots of chatter on our end about cannabis lounges.
Correct.
Which are not discussed in this ordinance.
Correct.
And so we're going to be, before the first of the year, considering and proposing an ordinance that would regulate cannabis lounges where they don't have a license from the state to be a dispensary or whatever, but they are allowed to have people consume cannabis on their property.
Right, so we're approaching this as kind of a two-part thing, okay? So the first part that we need to do in a quick matter, turnaround time, is get the zoning established so that some of the folks who are interested in moving forward with expansions to their business or establishing new businesses have the assurance that they will be able to do so. So we're going to do that now, okay? What we're hoping to do within the next month or two is put together some regulations that we would add as an amendment to this proposed ordinance that addresses cannabis smoking lounges. What are those exactly? They're basically a private members-only space, either on its own or within an existing business, where people would be able to bring cannabis that they purchased elsewhere onto the premises, and again, entering a private space, a non-public space, consume it there, okay? I want to point out we're really in whole new territory. There's really not models here in Illinois where you can look around and see how those should be regulated, what we should put in place to address them. So the city attorney and I are going to work together to try and put together some sort of permitting process for those that makes sense. We have had a number of different business people in the community reach out to us with interest about this. They want to do it right. They have some ideas about how we might approach it. So we'll work together to come up with something and get that as kind of our second phase as part of the overall cannabis ordinance. So it's on the pipeline, we're working on it. Again, this is all new to everybody, so there's just a lot that we have to try and figure out. And again, over time, we'll have to, make amendments as we go.
Yeah, as long as I have assurance that we can get something related to cannabis cafes or whatever we want to call them, smoking lounges.
We'll come up with some
like
really
something from the
obnoxious,
50s.
technical term for them that
They're
everyone
going to
will
be a
be
separate
confused
club
by.
included with these memberships. But as long as we can get that done before the first, then let's do this now and then that.
Okay, any other discussion?
Just, just for clarity on this business zoning, your recommendation is to approve the proposed cannabis regulations, and that does not include any business zones, is that correct?
So if you look at the report right in the middle, you can see the different types of cannabis businesses which are defined in the act, and then it'll say after each one which zones they're allowed in.
So the bullets that you have in the middle of the report.
Yep.
You're talking about.
Yep. So it's all right there. It's as simple as that, really.
Okay,
So
so-
the ordinance just defines what they are, basically copying the definitions from the state act, and then we say where they can go, and that's really the bulk of what it is.
So the fourth bullet down says dispensing businesses with on-site consumption, all industrial zoning districts, and all business zoning districts except the B1 neighborhood business.
Correct.
Okay.
I was talking about infusers.
Right, I'm just.
You want to know why we've
I'm
broken that a little
just trying to
bit?
clarify what we're gonna vote to approve.
Right.
And it's what's in these 5 bullets in the middle of the report.
Pretty much. There's some other points there as well, but that's the bulk of the zoning question. Just what are they and where do they go?
Thank you.
Yep.
For clarity for the public, a dispensary is allowed within business zones excluding B1, which is neighborhood.
If there's on-site consumption. So we break it apart into 2 types of dispensary. So there might be a dispensary that only sells the packaged product but has no on-site consumption, kind of like a liquor store, right? You're not drinking there, but you're buying the product there, okay? We would allow that in any business district. If there is on-site consumption, we would not allow it in B1. And the reason for that is that we wouldn't allow a bar in B1. So we just basically tried to make it parallel, tried to make it fair. It's the same reason we have the 100-foot separation distance requirement in there from residentially zoned parcels, just to parallel with what we do with those kind of businesses.
And B1 being neighborhood business district.
Neighborhood business districts, yep. So if you look at on the zoning map and you look at where B1 is, you will notice in a few places there are bars in B1. It's because they're either predating the zoning code, so they've been grandfathered in, or they've gone through the special use process where they've gotten approval eventually.
There's hands being raised. Do we want to invite anybody from the public?
Well, it really isn't a public, open forum type deal, so I
I think I like to call the vote. If there's no more questions up here, I think we can just call it.
And obviously, and I guess I want to say one thing, is because I don't get to vote, I just want to express my thoughts and everything else, that I basically conceptually oppose marijuana and the recreational consumption, but at the same token, I got to say on the other side, by taxing it, I believe, I'm comfortable with the new revenue that it brings in, because we're going to have some of the expense on the other side also with this, whether we have it legalized in Rock Island or not. So I just want to, express that.
What is the estimated revenue that anybody got a number?
It's really hard to calculate, and everyone is saying numbers that are all up in the air. So it'll be more than 0, and so that'll be.
Good.
We got an estimate from one possible business owner of a $10 million a year in sales, which would be $300,000 in revenue.
300,
If you approve this and then further approve the next item, which is the 3% sales tax.
So I'm clear, this does not include the lounges then, right?
This only includes the businesses that are established under the state act. And the lounges are not
Yes, they are.
included in the state
And
act.
Yes, they are.
Well, but they're not defined as a cannabis business. So
Right,
these are the
and-
cannabis businesses that are defined.
And there's
That's
not
what
much revenue that these lounges can do, so why would we subject them to taxes?
Well, there would be they would have no sales tax because there would be no consumption, there would be no sales there.
They'd just be smoking.
Another conversation.
That's a different conversation. So these are the businesses that they identified as cannabis businesses as we're covering here.
Okay, ready for vote?
Real quick, so just to be clear, so we're saying there's no tax on these the consumption sites, these lounges, even if they're selling, if it's a dispensing and?
No, if they're dispensing, they are paying tax.
Well, that's what it says here, dispensing with.
Yeah, correct. If they were dispensing, and I think that they're point that they were trying to make was that in the future, if we say have a location where it's just smoking only, no selling, there would be no sales tax because there's nothing being sold. But certainly if there is a dispensary, they're going to have to pay under the dispensary tax portion of the bill. Transporters also have their own section. All of those funds get paid into the Cannabis Regulation Fund, and then also if the subsequent local tax is paid, that tax has to be paid as well. Does that make sense?
Yep. So I would like to add also, while I'm not in favor of my background of cannabis, this is not my thing. I do understand the other side of it with the sales tax. I've been kind of struggling with this whole thing for a couple days. So, but anyway, I think you guys have answered all my questions, so thank you.
Then Alderman Hurt, you'd also asked a question about, there is a provision in the regulation fund for payment for education, treatment, and those types of things
Yes.
too, for abuse. So that is also included under 30 ILCS 1056Z, which is what you were asking me about earlier this evening.
Correct, but we're not quite sure how that's all going to get dispersed somewhere down the road,
That is
so
true.
that's
That's the state.
still another unknown.
That's
Oh,
the
in
state.
Chicago.
Yeah.
That's the state, man.
Yeah.
Springfield.
I do have to concur with Alderman Hurt. This is not my cup of tea. It's not something that I really support. However, I think the added revenue is something that we definitely need.
All right, let's call for a call. Roll call, please.
Alderman Hurt,
Yes.
Brigadis.
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Parker,
Aye.
Pulis,
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 28.
Report from the Finance Department regarding the approval of the municipal cannabis retailer's occupation tax in the amount of 3%, effective on the first date allowed on or after January 1st, 2020.
Move to approve the taxes recommended, refer to the city attorney for an ordinance, and authorize the certification and filing of the ordinance with the Illinois Department of Revenue by October 31st, 2019.
Second.
Moved and second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Hurt,
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Parker,
Aye.
Pulis,
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 29.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department recommending amendments to Chapter 8, Article 9 of the Code of Ordinances regarding massage establishments.
Move to approve the proposed amendments to the Code of Ordinances as recommended and refer to the city attorney for an ordinance.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir, I do. We had a question. I spoke with our city manager earlier today about Section 5 on that, 5.2, I think it was, where it was discussing penalties, but there was no, I guess I just missed the penalties that were supposed to be assessed if somebody violated that.
We can't find the word penalties in there, so we're not sure what you're referring to.
Well, I'm not sure what the comment was that if a person, if they didn't have the license, proper license, that they could be penalized.
Yeah,
by
they
the-
can be
by the
placarded.
ordinance.
Right, so that's in there, so that you can be placarded, so that's spelled out
So that's the
there,
only
but-
penalty that you're talking about, just placarding them.
Right.
That they're not a licensed massage.
Okay.
Right, I mean, but basically, the whole point of this ordinance is to make clear that any massage business operating in the city must show either the police or a customer that they have a state-issued license to perform massage therapy services. If they cannot show that, then the police are empowered to put a sign on the front door that basically says they are in violation of this ordinance, okay? Basically shaming them either to come into compliance or to go out of business because they're not a real massage therapy business.
So they could just become a reflexologist then at that moment, or what?
Yeah, why don't we have a reflexology certification?
Right, so reflexology in the state of Illinois is not a licensed activity. So it's not quite clear what it would be that we would ask them to show that they were legitimate.
I think they have to get a certification. I mean, I think.
It's not issued by the state, though.
It's not. Okay.
No. Believe me, I went up and down through that code of licensing to make sure. But since there's not a state-issued license, it's not quite clear what we would fairly be able to ask people to provide.
Is there any way we could ask them to provide the names? You know, like we're on the therapist, it says in here, names of all massage therapists employed. Is there any way we could ask for the names of all?
Well, it would be difficult because I suppose what we would be then what they would be there able to say is like, well, we're practicing XYZ. I mean, they could come up with all sorts of different alternative medicine activities that would fall into this. We discussed the need for this ordinance with the chief of police. He says that he doesn't know that this is as much of this particular issue is as much of a concern here in Rock Island, and that we should move forward with this and see how it helps or doesn't help, and then reassess. In again, maybe a year or two from now, if we find that we're having issues and this ordinance does not go far enough, we can make changes to it. But for the time being, I think this is a good place to start. We don't really have very many of these types of businesses, legitimate or not, here in Rock Island, so this is in a lot of ways a statement of values, one, but two, a precaution.
Right, yeah, because I know that the reflexology is the loophole to get the human trafficking through the massage parlors. And I also know that the other 3 cities have enacted similar ordinances, and I'm glad we're doing this because without us having one, it's a good place for people, those businesses to relocate.
And I would also point out, part of this recommendation is to replace existing massage business licensing information in our ordinance that was passed, I think, back in like 76 or 77. That was passed because at that time the state did not license massage therapy businesses, and so the city was trying to be proactive at that time and created a local licensing process. However, having spoken with some staff who were around when that was still active prior to the state having its own licensing process, it was incredibly difficult for them to oversee that process, and it was a little convoluted. I know in Davenport, part of what they tried to do was to create some sort of licensing structure for reflexologists. But again, because anyone could claim to do it, it's sort of difficult to ascertain who should get a license and who shouldn't. So it kind of creates this, again, this a burden for the city that it's very difficult, I think, for us to really work through. So again, you know, it's not perfect, but I think it's a step in the right direction and does a whole lot of good, even if it's not achieving 100% of what we might hope that it would.
We'll have a chance at public comment after the agenda, after we're done here at the end. Okay?
After we're done with this?
No, toward the end of, right before executive session, right before we adjourn, there'll be an opportunity for public opinion, public comment. Okay? Roll call, please.
Alderman Hurt,
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Parker,
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Keenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 31.
30.
30, sorry, I missed.
Yep. Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding a delinquent loan to Tesbo Conception Group LLC and liens on the property at 2252 24th Street.
Move to approve the lien releases and approve write-off of outstanding balances as recommended and direct city staff to execute, hold on, page, next page, the appropriate documents.
Second.
Move in second, any discussion?
Is there any recourse at all in terms of the loan that was defaulted?
You know, we can continue to go after the former owners, but they have no money. The Bi-State has a loan that's approximately 3 times what ours is. They've already written theirs off. So it's possible we still could, but they really don't have, the mayor has more information on their status than we do. And just one other thing to add, there's also going to be one more document coming probably in 2 weeks, and that's going to be an ordinance to do with some of the hazard mitigation on the property that you'll see also to kind of close the final loop on this.
And so if we approve the lien releases, then are we no longer able to take any action after that?
It just won't be attached to the property. We
It'll-
could still take action.
To the personal.
Right, that's correct. The lien would just, it attaches to pieces of property, much in the same way a mortgage does, but that doesn't mean you could not try to go after some other avenue, although it sounds like there may not be any.
I know one of the major stockholder in it, and he's got cancer, terminal cancer, lives in Florida, filed bankruptcy type of a deal, so the chances are gonna be
Thank you.
slim. Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Hurt,
Yes.
Brigadis.
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Parker,
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 31.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding terms of a development agreement with Friendship Manor to assist with the environmental assessment and demolition of the property located at 1114 and to 1116 21st Avenue with an incentive package not to exceed 30% of total project costs or $25,755, whichever is less.
Move to approve the terms of the agreement as recommended. Direct staff to work with legal counsel and draft a development agreement and authorize execution of the development agreement by the city manager.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Hurt,
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Parker,
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 32.
Report from the Traffic Engineering Committee regarding a request for the installation of a handicap parking space at 1923 9.5 Street.
Motion to approve the request as recommended and refer to the city attorney for an ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Hurt,
Yes.
Spargattis,
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Parker,
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 33.
Report from the Traffic Engineering Committee regarding a request for the installation of a handicap parking space across the street from 1036 16th Street.
Move to approve the request as recommended and refer to the city attorney for an ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Hurt,
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Parker,
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 34.
Report from the Traffic Engineering Committee regarding a request for the removal of a handicap parking space at 907 14th Avenue.
Moved. Oh, go ahead.
Motion to approve the request as recommended and refer to the city attorney for an ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Hurt,
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker,
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 35.
Report from the Traffic Engineering Committee regarding a request from Elizabeth Narsky, DVM, Rock Island Animal Hospital, to place both of their parking lots at 2324 7th Avenue and 2325 7th Avenue under City Ordinance Control, Section 9-42.
Move to approve the request as recommended and refer to the city attorney for an ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Hurt,
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Parker,
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 36.
Report from the mayor regarding the appointment of Andy McCray to the Rock Island County Waste Management Agency, the reappointment of Lawrence Davis, Debbie Healy, and Rochelle Brybe to the Citizens Advisory Committee, and the appointment of Mark Sykes and Amanda Hodge to the Citizens Advisory Committee.
Move to approve the appointments and reappointments as recommended.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Item 37, other business. Now, if you wish, I don't know if you've signed up, but that's fine. I know you've been,
I didn't sign up, nor do I want to be confrontational at all.
that's fine. And when you get done, you'll have to put your name on a piece of paper back
Well,
there.
I'm not sure if that's the right thing or not, but however, like I said, I'm not here to be confrontational or anything, but
Give us your name.
Sure, my name is Will Clay, and I have been sitting here, and I guess I've just been noticing other people have been interacting after they put their hand up and they come up to the podium. So I just thought that that was formality. So pardon me for not knowing Robert's Rules of Order. Nevertheless, I am here to listen to what was going on in regards to the cannabis. And I was here at the previous meeting, and which I don't think I recognize any of you guys here at the previous meeting. Once again, I'm not even sure if anyone is on the zoning committee. Is anyone here on the zoning committee?
No.
So it's all city council, yes.
Yep.
I have been affected by the zoning committee. I own Pee Wee's Restaurant, Rock Island. Also, I own Clay Outdoors, Rock Island. Also, I own Land of Beauty, Rock Island. Just a small, super small entrepreneur in Rock Island, which I do pay my sales tax. And I'm proud to be in Rock Island. I'm very excited that we are joining 10 other states with the new cannabis states that are also in the 21st century. I think we got to get into the 21st century. There's no doubt about it. Cannabis is here. It's not going anywhere. I'm excited that Illinois is one of the states, the 11th state that has chosen to join with the other 10 states. I'm not sure which avenue I intend to put my application in, but nevertheless, I do have a couple of businesses here, and they are in B3 zones. Somewhere in that huge 600-page bill that JB, Mike Halpin, all the other guys wrote up, there's a little bit of section right there for disparity. People who live in affected areas. I'm not sure if the industrial area is an affected area. So I don't know how that plays into the whole scheme of things.
Has to do with where like the crime rates are and all that other stuff, which would be kind of probably where you were.
So that's not the industrial area.
No.
Right.
So I'm not sure if we're putting the cart before the horse. I don't know what's going on. So that's why I'm here sort of listening and see what our city is intending to do. I get here at first and we're talking about taxing, I guess, entertainment. We don't want to tax the entertainment. Now we're talking about a big picture here. We're talking about cannabis. We're talking about looking what Colorado's doing. We're talking about look what LA is doing. We're talking about look what Massachusetts is doing, these other states. And they are definitely doing big numbers. No one here has any idea. December 31st, NTI, you will not be able to stand in line.
GTA.
No, NTI.
NTI, you will not be able to stand in line out there. I don't think he's gonna have enough supply.
No, you're gonna have kids from Iowa City driving.
He's not gonna have enough supply. So we're in the 21st century here. This is not, it's not the marijuana back in the day. It's the new marijuana. You'll probably be surprised. If you just drove by there, you'll be surprised in who you may see in the line. In the industrial area in Rock Island, I'm not even sure where that is. I don't know. However, I'm B3. What would stop me from infusing my peach cobbler? What would stop me from infusing my sweet potato pie? What would stop me from infusing my hamburger? Whatever the case may be, I have no idea. So the last meeting, that's what we spoke about. So that's why I came here today, to listen exactly what would be going on, who would be eligible, who would be granted the license, in what area, which zones. And quite frankly, Rock Island needs this tremendously. We have things that are in Rock Island that needs repairing. We have things in Rock Island, we need jobs. The population is down. This is gonna bring, we're gonna be surprised. We're gonna really be surprised at what happens here. It's already here. I'm not saying you have to embrace it, but it's here already. It's gonna go down. I mean, it's the 21st century. It's not, we can't keep this in the closet anymore. I mean, it's happening.
Right.
Infusion will be a state-issued license, not a city. The city does not issue license for the infusion part.
But determining where it's going to be at.
Determined by zoning where it's going to be at. But the
Correct.
state, you still have to apply at the state and.
Correct. Yeah, I'm very aware of that, but I'm saying I'm not in that industrial, my disparity area is not in that industrial area. There's 250 points, Mayor. I'm not sure if you're familiar with a lot of this or not, but you get points here. And depending on how many people you hire, if you hire 10 people in your area, you get points. If you're from that area, you get points.
Yeah.
And if you have 10 people with a record in the area where it's going, then you give them
You
more
get points.
points.
That's not
So
in the industrial area.
the limit of B3.
So I don't want it to be limited to B3. I'm just saying that. It needs to be more than just the
That's a
industrial.
very good point.
Well, and I just want to make sure that we're clear that you can still get your parcel zoned for for infusing with a special use permit.
That's a hurdle to jump.
I understand.
I own Pee Wee's Restaurant, just a restaurant. It was zoned with the previous owner special use permit.
I know.
I'm a business guy. I'm not sure if everyone has written a business plan. In your business plan, you have an exit strategy. I don't want to have to come to the city and say, Pee Wee's Restaurant failed. I would like to open up a sunglass shop. My sunglass shop failed. I would like to open up a men's suit store. Unanimously, the zoning committee rejected my bid to get it rezoned. Had to go in front of the zoning, not the zoning committee, but city council. So for a young man, young woman, an entrepreneur to do business in the city of Rock Island, it's a little difficult. I mean, there shouldn't be so many hurdles to jump. This is gonna happen, and I mean, it's here in Illinois. And we've been privileged enough to be awarded this special opportunity to get us out of the debt that we're in.
Gives us a head start above Iowa.
Gives us a huge start above Iowa. I mean, Rock Island is one of the areas, Rock Island, Galesburg, not even Moline. And some of this reading, Moline's not even being affected by this.
Right.
Rock Island, East Moline, Galesburg, and Sterling.
Oh, well, I mean.
And we have 2 bridges.
They're coming.
I very much understand what you're saying, and I'm more than happy to help if you are wanting to have an infusing business at Pee Wee's where you infuse your peach cobbler, like you said. I'm more than happy to work with you to get a special use permit for that location.
So then I would have to, so if the zoning committee says, no, Mr. Clay, then I would have to come in front of the city council.
But we redid that so we can override the business planning or the business.
BZA?
BZA, so now we remove that step, so we can actually
No,
override.
it's not quite good. It's by the size of the
No, but we
business.
have the ability to override them now. We didn't before.
No. At this point, we only can override if it's a 20,000 square foot facility or larger.
Well, so a special use permit is
Yeah.
we're talking about a number of different things here,
All right,
so
well,
he could come
let's
with a
move on.
special use permit easily.
Special use permits come to the city council.
And certainly sales are allowed in your area, in your restaurant, if you had a license for dispensing. And the dispensing and on-site consumption will also be in your area. I don't think, you're not a B1, are you? Do you remember what?
B3.
B3, so.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, and I'm sure most of us up here would be more than happy to help you through the special use permit process. If you are wanting to put an infusing business at your Pee Wee's location, I'll help you out. I mean,
Well, thank you very much. And I definitely appreciate that. But as a business owner, I don't think that the balls are going to drop with the cannabis. Once again, you have an exit strategy. I shouldn't have to come to the city every time something does not go right with my business.
sure. Fair.
Thank you for coming forth. Appreciate it. We hear
Thank you. Like I said, I didn't want to be confrontational. I just saw the pattern. We had a
Yes.
pattern going here. People were raising their hand and they were coming up to the podium.
And that's typically not the way it happens.
So that's why when I raised my hand and I didn't get selected, I was wondering what happened to the pattern that
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Mayor, that
You're
you
fine.
started.
I appreciate it, no. All right,
Thank you, Will, and thank you for everything you do at
yes.
Clay Outdoors and Pee Wee's.
Thank you very kindly.
Is there anything else the council has for the good of the cause, other business? I'm going to bring up real quick, tomorrow I go up to Chicago, actually going with Colleen and Tara, talk to HUD, try to put on some of the final details on our Curliff loan program with HUD. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, meet with different retailers and that sort of thing at the ICSC. Tara and I, once again, continue to try to solicit people to locate here. So I'll be doing that in the next couple of days, along with Tara and Colleen.
I'm going to be in Chicago on Friday.
Oh.
We'll tag team.
There you go.
Be there representing our city, receiving our award from, our Dree House Award from Landmarks, Illinois for the Friends of Hauberg Civic Center. Pretty exciting stuff, statewide historic preservation recognition across the entire state of Illinois, right here in Rock Island.
All right. So besides that, the Cardinals are probably winning.
No.
Oh. All right, item 38.
Executive session, we have 4 exceptions. 5 ILCS 120, Section 2, C2, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives. 5 ILCS 120, Section 2, C12, the establishment of reserves or settlement of claims as provided in the Local Government and Governmental Employees Tort Immunity Act if otherwise the disposition of a claim or potential claim might be prejudiced, or the review or discussion of claims, loss or risk management information, records, data, advice, or communications from or with respect to any insurer of the public body or any intergovernmental risk management association or self-insurance pool of which the public body is a member. 5 ILCS 120, Section 2, C21, discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed under this act, whether for purposes of approval by the body of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by Section 2.06 and per request of the city attorney. 5 ILCS 120, Section 2, C11, litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting.
Motion to go into executive session for exceptions cited.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion on that? Roll call. Little sore, John. Roll call, please.
Alderman Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson. Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.